What up, guys? Jay back here from Sports with Facts. Here to talk on the Thursday slate, give you a free play in baseball, a free tennis play from the Pops. Let me just copy this link here real quick. I know I'm a little early. Why is it like that? Hold on one second. So gives people a chance to come in. If you again for those new to this, if you come in, it's all about saying hello, giving your social security number, and non-erect dick size. Those rules never change. They are always the same in this house. Hold on. Gotta figure this shit out. Okay, hopefully this link works. Let me just try this link real quick. I think the link works. Either way, who gives a shit? So, hope you liked the brown bag on the head. Try to do that in honor of the Pops. Always trying to have a little fun here, despite bad days. I'll touch on that as well. The rough day he had, and kind of how best to handle yourself with bad days. Because I think here's the thing: everybody has them. They happen to everybody. There's no reason to ever think anybody you're following or anybody you're listening to or even yourself is never going to have a prototypical bad day. So don't ever get that twisted. Like, oh, I follow somebody and they never lose, or I follow somebody and they just constantly win. Always keep in mind, losses are going to happen. Again, you look for small edges that you can have long term, and that's ultimately the goal. What's up, Jonathan? What's up, Bo the Blind? You must have changed your name. I don't think that was your name. What's up, Iowa? Like I said, on this video here, we'll talk Thursday's slate. What's up, John? We'll talk Thursday's slate. I'll give you a free play from the Pops if you'd like. Yeah, Von Paul, wait, are you coming on the sports cake? What's up, Matt? I don't know what the sports cake is. Anyway, so like I said, we'll talk on Thursday slate. I'll give you a free pick from the Pops if you guys want it. I know these days you kind of want to tread lightly, right? But what's up, Benny? What's going on, bud? So for me, back to today. So obviously the Pops did a video where the plays went 0-3, and I think this is a good opportunity. Good opportunity. What's up, Leonard? What's up, Taylor? I think it's a great opportunity. Like I say, guys, I try to be a little humorous with the bag over my head, because I think it's do it in honor of the Pops. I think what happens is my father gives out a picks. He goes 0-3. He's been a little cold as it was. I was a little surprised. He gave out 3 entire picks. But look, teachers on. I'm not sitting here, not his father telling him how he's supposed to do the videos. But as you guys know, I'm the exact opposite in that manner. When I'm a little cold, and here's the thing, he overall hasn't been cold. I mean, if anything, he crushed Wimbledon. He's just been cold on the videos. So for me, I think we could all use this as a learning experience. I could use this as a learning experience for all you guys, and how you should handle bad days, and how you should, progress forward from them. If you're gonna have a day like that where you're 0-3, right? What do most of you do? You don't have to type it. I mean, I want you to type it. But like when you guys go 0-3, what do you guys do, right? You do one of a few things. Number one is you chase your losses, right? You either start firing away on nonsense in the middle of the night, or you bet ridiculous shit for more than you're comfortable betting. So I think a lot of you guys, not you specifically, not anybody specifically in here, but I think a lot of people in general, they overchase losses, right? And it puts you in bad spots. And I think that long term for a bankroll, it can really crush it, because at the end of the day, you have to incorporate the idea and concept of losses into your schematics, right? Like, you have to know losses are coming. You're going to lose a few games here and there. It's going to happen. So you can't let like an 0-3 day for you specifically, or an 0-4 day for you specifically, kind of like rain on your parade. For me, it's been overall a great month, as per my typical standards. Granted, the picks have been good overall that I've been giving you guys, but my own ROI is good, really good this month. So for me to take a bad day where I tail the pops on some of his plays, for me it's all good. And it goes back to what I was saying. Like, I think that this industry is more or less, what have you done for me yesterday? And like, it doesn't matter. Like, you could go 5-0 the day before, right? Like, if I gave you guys 5 picks, I never do, but if I gave you guys 5 picks on one day and I went 5-0, the next day, if I gave you only 1 pick and I went 0-1, all you would remember is the one pick where I went 0-1, right? I mean, ultimately, that's the only thing you would remember, right? It wouldn't be like, but let me give you the exact difference. If you swung that around and I went 0-5 on those 5 picks, but then I went, let's say I went 6-0 over my next 6 plays over the next 3 days, you guys will never forget the 0-5, never forget it. So I think that for this industry as a whole, like if you're somebody right now that's betting sports recreationally and you want to begin betting more, or maybe you want to begin the quote unquote touting or handicapping, right? And maybe you have your own YouTube channel, or maybe you just have your own Twitter where you give out picks, or maybe Instagram where you give out picks, right? You need to keep in mind that the industry is a day-to-day industry. There's nothing, you're never going to get past that portion of it. So I think, if I could give advice to people for how to handle a day like today in specific, would be to just progress forward as you always do. Keep your units the same. Just eat your losses, as is, and then just move forward. I mean, there's no crying in this sport. Like, the people that like apologize for losses and like cry the blues when they lose, like I'll never understand those people. I'll never understand those people. The idea is to put your money in play where you best think it fits, and and put your whoever's following you's money in best play. And look, at the end of the day, you're going to be wrong on some plays. I tell you guys that all the time. Okay, so I missed some of your comments there. Tony in the house, Big T. What's Granny doing tonight? Granny's asleep. Granny's asleep by about 9 o'clock. I don't really follow her schedule all that often. She lives about 15 miles from me. That's probably not far enough, to be honest. Usually. So what do you? I'll leave the floor to you guys. What do you want to talk about on this video? I know that for the most part, I usually just kind of reel off shit on these videos. Like, I'm usually like, oh, well, I'll talk to Slate, and then maybe I'll give a tennis play for my dad, then maybe I'll give a baseball play. But either way, I'm kind of usually somewhat all over the place. I'll leave this up to you. What do you guys want to talk about specifically on this video? So, Tom, how many units? What's up, Tom? How many units a day, a week is good? So for me, Tom, and I would have covered this in my bankroll management video. 3 units a week, as crazy as that sounds. If you can consistently clear 3 units a week, seriously, I know it sounds like, oh, only 3 units. Are you kidding me? 3 units a week, you're golden. You are golden. Because here's the thing. If over the course of a season, over the course of a year, let's say we go through that, right? 3 units a week, 156 units a year. If you're somebody who scales yourself up to $1,000 bettor, or $5,000 bettor, or $10,000 bettor, but you start small, right? Like you start at betting $5-10 a game. You do it for a year, you find success, whatever. 3 units a week positive is good. But here's the thing. You can have weeks where you lose a lot more than 3 units, and that'll completely crush the idea of 3 units per week. Because this is why I always say, like, you need to be consistently trimming yourself, staying disciplined to keep yourself out of harm's way. How do you feel about 3 units is good? How many plays is good to get to that 3? For me, Tom, again, I don't reach for plays. So for me, again, I cap myself at 5 plays max, but I don't reach for plays. Like for me, it's 3 to 5 plays max. And over the course of a week, how many bets is that, right? That's about 20 bets. It's at least 20 bets. If I'm getting in 3 a day, I don't force that either, though. So if I had to give you an estimate, Tom, the goal would be somewhere between 20 and 30 bets a week, and the goal would be to net 3 units off of those 20 to 30 bets. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but again, if you show that kind of consistency all year round, think about it. Most of you guys, not you guys in particular, I mean, most people who bet sports just consistently lose money betting sports, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. You might have a good week or a good few weeks or a good stretch or a good month, or a good few months, but you consistently lose money betting sports over the course of a calendar year, right? So if you flipped your script and kept yourself, okay, so I'm only going to bet 3 to 5 games a day. I'm not going to force action. I don't need to bet 3, but I'll try to find 3 that I like. Maybe I'll bet 1. And then, it's all about, just as Leonard's mentioned in there, betting less, being disciplined, not just in the numbers, but just in the actual bet amounts, the total amount of bets you're making. I think long term, regardless of the time of year, because granted, there's always going to be busier times of year, right? Like October, November, right? It's probably one of the busiest parts of the year for a lot of people, right? You have NFL, you have college football, you have NBA. Baseball playoffs kind of stretches into November, doesn't it? Or late October, November. So, I mean, hockey's starting up. There's just a lot going on. College basketball is about to begin. There's just a lot going on in those months. So, you have to be as disciplined as you can. Then, for me specifically, I like the tennis all year round because it keeps me disciplined. I'm not like, I don't bet NBA. So I know a lot of people bet NBA, and I don't bet NBA to keep myself out of harm's way there. And of course, as Rod mentions here, 0 parlays. Guys, stay away from parlays. You're never gonna knock a wall down or knock fences down betting parlays. Now, granted, you might have the guys. You might be somebody in here that bets $5 10-teamers every day, right? Hoping to really turn that toothpick into a baseball bat. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the end of the day, parlays long term minus EV. So best bets to stay away from. I was gonna find. Can't wait to see how you bring in. So James, as regards to football, I'm gonna post a few. I'm gonna repost some of the videos that I had from football season. On the channel. I'll post them in the community so you guys can watch them. Obviously, you could search for them too, but that's silly. I'll post them for you. So for me, football will be a lot of fun. College football is my favorite sport to bet. It's been my best sport for the last few years. I play a lot of college football daily fantasy as well, along with betting it. And I know that there's always the argument of you can't really bet sports and play daily fantasy. But again, you got to find that happy medium. And I feel pretty confident I found that happy medium over the last few years. And the process I have is pretty good. I'm going to have the college football video for you, the college football 101 video, probably in the next week or so. And then after that, that'll be followed by the hedging / live betting video, which I know you guys will find helpful. And then I'll follow that up with NFL right before you guys go. What's up, Randy? Elliott, Washington full game killing right now. Yeah, I mean, for me, I liked the play for a few reasons. Talking on the Washington play over. For me, win or lose, the game was easily a half run off from open. And I had it myself at 11.5 at Vig on the over, myself capped. I'm just looking at 2 pitchers that give up home runs in a hot park with 2 bad bullpens. Obviously, it's not working out as intended, but at the end of the day, it's all par for the course. I've been betting for just over a year, and I'm 365, 359 plus 22. It's just tailing sharps. So JSD sharps is a little subjective, of course, right? Because like the idea of sharps specifically, it depends who you ask, right? Because some people might consider me sharp. I would hope so, but most, there might be some that don't. Some might consider you guys might watch 20 different YouTube channels, right? You might consider half the guy sharp, but like a group of you might consider half the guy sharp, and another group might consider the other half not sharp. So I think the idea of being sharp is really not so much about the handicapping specifically. It's really about finding the good prices and the good numbers. That's what the sharps being sharp is about. As far as games being fixed or the conspiracy theorists, that shit's not real. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there's not the occasional tennis match, in the middle of Afghanistan, that gets fixed, which could, but for the most part, you need to understand that sharps are more or less betting numbers. When you start hearing people talk like that, like, oh, everybody's on this side, like the Giants, and I say it to you guys all the time, it doesn't really matter. You need to make sure you're staying disciplined, in your lane, and long term. Like I said, long term, ultimately you'll be all right. And definitely, Roger, good point. Yeah, quality over quantity. It's just like life. Sorry, Greg, I missed that question. Do I bet best baseball series? I myself do not. I don't necessarily do. I'm not saying I can't find an edge there. I'm just, for me, I'm more about one game, get in, get out. I'm not so much into the whole series thing. I know my dad bets a lot of series bets. And for me, series bets are good to make during playoffs for baseball because you can get good prices. You can also use series betting in baseball, in playoffs specifically, to hedge back against yourself, right? Like, you can do wild things with series. Is like, for instance, you might have two teams play each other, and Team A has a really good ace. So maybe you'll bet Team B for the series, but bet Team A for the game one, right? And then you can kind of hedge yourself backwards that way. Follow select 4 people. Oh, you know what? That was something I wanted to ask you guys specifically. Who are some other handicappers you guys like? You guys are interested in? You guys know me. I don't really bash anybody specifically ever, except for Vegas Dave. I know that there's like, yeah, because he, that guy deserves it. But I know that some of you guys might like. Some of you guys might like other handicappers. I'm sure a bunch of you guys follow a bunch of them, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. But for me, like the things that I don't like that I see sometimes with handicappers is like they'll just like bash other people and bash other handicappers, and then they'll bash like the people that are betting for them. Like for me, like I understand what this is. Like I understand the hardships in going in front of a camera or going in front of an audience on Twitter or whatever and posting plays and putting yourself at risk there. So for me, it's that's what ultimately just the fact of people doing that, putting themselves on the line like that, it means a lot. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for everybody that does it, and you never hear me put anybody down specifically. It's not the industry I'm in. There's too many people that do. There's too many people that do that regularly. Look, focus on yourself. Focus on your own process. Focus on getting better. Focus on being a better sports bettor. But other than that, don't be trashing anybody else. Like I see people all the time go to other people's channels after a losing day, and they say something stupid or something ignorant, like oh, you suck, or you this, you that, you that. Look. If you followed somebody who gave you a free pick and it lost, just move on with your life. Just just stop. If you don't like them, just stop watching them. Like I don't know. It's kind of crazy that so many people act in that manner. Let me see what some of you guys wrote. So Benny, obviously Benny the big dog. Love Benny. The arrow. Let me see if I can. For those that don't know, Benny does that in every video. I'm not sure if he's still here or not. But Benny Beachy, legit guy over at Ghost Picks. Vegas Jake. I'm trying to think. Vegas Jake. That's a new one. Vegas Jake. I'm trying to think. That's a new one for me. Vegas Jake. Anyway. So. I'm trying to think. Oh, Kevin the Rake. I've seen a few of his videos. He seemed a little misled on the idea of on the concept of units. So this is something I want to tell you guys. When you guys are looking for handicappers, when you guys are looking for different handicappers to follow, like there's certain guidelines you guys should be using yourselves, right? When you're following somebody, could be anybody, could be Santa Claus, could be the Easter Bunny, the Boogeyman, Bigfoot, doesn't really matter. Whoever you're following. You need to have yourself with somewhat of a strict, I wouldn't say strict standards, but like you need to make sure the person you're following, number one, understands sports betting as a whole. Okay. Not just like recreational sports betting, or not like somebody that's like, oh, I bet PP money on a few games here and there. Somebody that truly understands the ins and outs of sports betting, how, all the terms, all the, everything that's relative to you specifically in terms of the handicapping portion of things per se. Like I said, for me, you need to have your own list of guidelines that you kind of use for yourself, to find the best kind of handicappers you can find. Because again, you can kind of get lost in the mix. And now I'm seeing so many other pop-up handicappers, and I'm not even on Instagram. So like, I don't even know what that's like, but I got to assume like there's just a lot of bad handicappers there too. And when I say bad, I'm not necessarily bashing the fact that they're what the records are or whatever. When I say bad, I mean like just naive per se, naive in this industry. And I think that there's a lot of people that kind of blindly follow a lot of these people. Like most of you guys, and you guys can be honest. You guys can be honest. Tell me most of you guys don't like go on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter looking for like, what I'll call America's next top handicapper, right? Like tell me you guys aren't kind of in search in that manner for America's next top handicapper. I think a lot of people do that. They kind of like hop accounts, right? Like they'll follow somebody who maybe they heard from somebody who's good, right? And then that person they follow now has like 2 losses. Oh wow, just pushed. I'll take it. But it's like I said, John. Like for me, that game, it was a bullpen game. And now I'm going off tangent. Here, but for me, the the fact that there was only whatever runs scored early on, the fact that the bullpens pushed that over is great. I'll take the luck box win there. I mean the luck box push. Sick of these new handicappers. I'm sick of these new handicappers that don't speak all the hard work and goes into it. Yeah, Jeremy, it's so silly. It's so silly. Like when somebody like wins a lot of money betting sports early. Like if somebody is to bet, if somebody like says, oh well, I'm 10-1. I'm 10-1. I just started my channel. I'm 10-1. Or the people that also like tell you after the fact, like, oh, I didn't tell you guys, but I bet XYZ and it was winner, and those were all winners. Like these are the types of things. It's kind of like mild arrogance. And again, long term, individuals like that will have emotional struggles sports betting. Okay, it's just the way the industry is. And again, long term, you'll kind of get stuck. A lot of bad handicappers. I hate the ones that gloat when they win, when they lose. So Elliot, like guys like that, the guys that kind of, fall in love with themselves while they're, while they're handicapping sports. These are the people that more or less. Now, I'm not gonna put all of them in the same bucket, but more or less, those are the people you're probably going to want to avoid. And it's only because these are the kind of people that, like, when they're going on a winning streak, they're the greatest things in sliced bread. When they go on a winning streak, when they go on a losing streak, they'll cry the blues. The sad story here, the sad story there. So again, you kind of more or less got to be able to weave those out. And that's why I said, like, when you're looking for handicappers, you got to kind of have a process. You can't, because again, a lot of these people are selling things, and not so much picks specifically. Like I know that there's a lot of touts that actually legitimately sell picks. I'm talking more like they're selling themselves. But again, you kind of got to know what sounds right and what doesn't. So you kind of got to put yourself in those positions specifically to move, to make sure that you're at least looking out for number one long term, right? Because if a bunch of you guys aren't spending any time focusing on your own process and how to get better, but you're just following others, there's nothing wrong with that specifically. But let's break down your time management, right? If you're spending 4 hours a day watching YouTube videos of other people and watching cappers and looking online for other cappers, you could be reusing that 4 hours, working on your own process, working on getting better, working on whatever. You could jerk off, 10 times in 4 hours. I certainly could. What were your plays tonight out of curiosity? Chris, I played obviously the over 11, which obviously now pushed. And I had a half unit on the Diamondbacks full game behind Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's been a pitcher I've backed a few times this year. It's just a shame that I didn't give you guys that play on Twitter. I gave you the shitty over. But Robbie Ray's been a pitcher I've backed all year. I like him. I like him probably more than the average person just because he's very good against lefties. He has a lefty-heavy lineup like Texas. Now, granted, he still gave up runs, which is kind of his thing, or been his thing. But his advanced numbers show he's been very unlucky this year. And Jesse Chavez is just a mutt. Like I know that his advanced numbers have been better, but he's a mutt. Well, you want to play? It shows how much time and effort you put into getting great info in order to put a solid play. So, Carlos, thanks, Corey. Carlos, as far as advice on analyzing games better, for me, something I constantly use myself would be Fangraphs. So Fangraphs is a borderline starter point for me. It's really where, like, because here's the thing. A lot of people start the research. What are they doing, right? You're either looking at lines. Oh, well, hold on. Let me back up a step. Most of you guys, or most people that are betting sports, what do, right? They look at the odds sheet, whether it's online, whether it's on paper in Vegas, whether it's whatever. You look at the odds sheet, and what are you looking for? You're looking for favorites that are favorable, right? Like you're looking for the easiest, in your opinion, the easiest favorites that could win, right? So if there's 14 games for the night, you're looking at, maybe 3 favorites that you like. Very few people actually look at underdogs in that manner. Like very few people look at a slate and they're like, okay, I kind of like these 2 underdogs today, right? I like these 2 underdogs and I like this, but very rare or very extremely rare people will actually look at the actual numbers portion of it, right? So you're not looking, now you're eliminating the teams aspect. Now you're kind of like, okay, I can get the Diamondbacks tonight at -1. I can get the Diamondbacks tonight at -115, right? And it's Robbie Ray versus a Texas Rangers team filled with lefties. That's a valuable number at -115, right? Now, regardless of how you think the market's going to swing that number, and the market obviously swung that number to I think Robbie Ray closed at like minus 135. So, you have to do a bunch of different things in your process. But I think that a lot of people specifically, they look for favorites, and that's kind of what they go with. A lot of people some people use the eye test, like quick, okay, eye test, and that's more or less lazy handicapping. Like you'll have a stud pitcher on a small line, right? Like maybe like you'll have Jacob deGrom on the road at like minus 120, and you'll be like, oh wow, that's a great price with deGrom. But like you don't realize that like he's at home against a pitcher like Mike Soroka versus the Braves. Braves are playing better. There's not really value, even though it's deGrom, there's still not really value on him at minus 120. The Mets bullpen sucks. Just an example to give you guys. I'm more or less a hypothetical, but just so you guys know, all the handicappers had the Diamondbacks today. So, yeah, like I said, the Diamondbacks were more or less a good play. I think some people might have looked at it and here's the thing, Diamondbacks won by whatever it was, 20 runs. They're probably still getting base hits. After the fact, right, you'll have people that'll be like, told you guys, easy winner, 17 runs. Diamondbacks won by 17 runs. Who's the man? But you see, that game, more or less, from an odds perspective, it only had about from minus 115, I only had that line about 20 cents favorable, right? So I had Robbie Ray in that spot capped at 135. So when I see 115 at open, I crack him. But like when it gets to 135, it's no longer favorable. It doesn't matter if you won or lost. It doesn't matter because you're talking about, after you made a bet or after, long after the game started, right? So you're looking at a small sample result and you're like, oh, shit, that was an easy winner. And for the people that backed the Rangers are like, oh, this was the dumbest play ever. But I'll tell you what, if the price was plus, if the Rangers were plus 155, if the Rangers were plus 140 in that spot, I'd have bet the Rangers. I wouldn't even thought twice about it. I would have bet the Rangers. So again, you kind of need to be able to, use the numbers to your advantage long term, whether it's underdogs, whether it's favorites. I think a lot of people, or too many people, bet favorites too often, and it kind of burns them. But I think more or less open your mindset to more than just favorites, because again, long term you'll be much better off. With people following cappers online, do you think it will change the industry as the public wins more? Ty, I think that's a loaded question, because here's the thing. As sports betting becomes obviously more what's the word I'm looking for? Taboo, I guess. As it becomes more taboo, or more or less table talk between a lot of people, I think that you're going to have a lot of people that come up and consider themselves sharp, right? Or you're going to have more of the public betting these games, right? But it's hard to tell because, again, there's a lot of public people that make sharp bets, and there's a lot of sharp people that make public bets. So, to overclassify what a public bettor or square bettor is, what a sharp bettor is, for me, I don't go crazy with it. I don't overanalyze what that could be or is, because again, you'll kind of lose track of it. And you'll kind of obsess over it to a point that you shouldn't even be. Focus on the bets you think make the most sense. And long term, that's your goal, right? The bets that long term make the most sense for you and your process. And look, if your process is I follow these one or two handicappers that I trust a lot, and they haven't done me wrong long term, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you're somebody who's debating on, maybe paying somebody for picks, right? Like maybe you're on a website or you've been tracking a guy, and there's the people in this industry that bet sports that just religiously will say, I'm never paying anybody for picks. And for me, it's almost silly to a certain extent. It's almost silly as a certain extent, because if you're somebody who's gonna turn off the idea to paying somebody for picks, but you're somebody who's gonna consistently bet sports, right? Like you're gonna always continue to be in action. And you're a lifetime loser. Not anybody specifically here, but anyway, you're a lifetime loser betting sports, right? And you're following somebody, but you have this mentality in your head that, oh, I'm never paying anybody for picks, no matter what, never paying anybody for picks. That's extra vig. That's it's harder for me to win that way. But think about it in this manner. What if you're paying somebody for picks who's making you lose less, right? Less than yourself. Now, granted, you'll have those days. We've all been there. You'll have those days where you follow somebody, right? And you're like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have followed this pick. I knew how dumb am I? I knew I shouldn't have followed this one pick specifically. God, I'm an idiot. But like long term, right? Long term, if the person you're following, whether you're paying them or not, whatever, has your best interest in mind, then that's it. I mean, ultimately, that's it. That's it. So don't over. I guess what I'm trying to get at with you guys in the handicapping, don't over obsess over what public money is, what sharp money is, because at the end of the day, money as a whole moves lines. Okay, money as a whole moves lines. Whether it's sharp money, whether it's square money, it doesn't matter. It moves. Money moves lines. Don't ever get that twisted. Like I've had people tell me, no, the lines moving, and it's all sharp money. Who cares? The idea is to get the best price. Okay. If sharps move a number for you and it becomes favorable on the other side, bet it. If squares move a number and now it becomes favorable on the other side, bet it. There's no, again, as what I do think is going to happen, I think long term is that you're going to have a lot of people, because ultimately it's what people like to hear, right? People love to hear the sharp versus square conversation and argument and debate. I think that, long term, you're just going to find yourself in a bind where you're constantly negotiating on what's, what you should be betting or shouldn't be betting based on what the sharps or squares are doing. And, long term, you're going to be out of luck. I got into sports betting literally the year after I spent $100K from a settlement. I didn't know I could bet on sports. Shane M. True, kind of a dumb question. Sorry, guys. I'm just kind of reading through the comments, see if I missed anything. Oh, G-Sauce, do I have a normal job? Yes. I work part-time as a data center architect in New York. I used to do it full-time a little over 6 months ago, but I moved back to part-time to focus more on the sports betting. Look, here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's a 6-figure paying job for me. I've been doing it over 10 years. Big into network security. I mean, believe it or not, I know that I come out with this like humor or like, jokish manner, and kind of act like a moron on here sometimes for somewhat of entertainment. But I do some pretty decent work behind a keyboard with regards to network security for a company in New York City. So the 11.5 loss. Yeah, for me, like I said, it was a good spot. Obviously, I'll push and I'll get my money back. But for me, it was a good spot specifically. Kind of sucks that it didn't come through. But look, obviously Perez bet it live at 9.5. If you bet it live, I hope you did. Obviously, you would have been in pretty good hands there. What was I going to say? Damn, the shift robbed the base hit. Damn, the shift robbed the base hit to win you the bet. Yeah. I mean, again, for me, it probably didn't even belong in that scenario late. But the fact that it pushed, I'll take it. Okay, so what do I want to talk about? Oh, any other questions you guys have? Because I'll give you guys the pick. But any other questions you guys have? That's good, Tom. That you got the 11. Is betting totals better early? I think, Rod. For the most part, if you're betting totals, obviously the obvious mindset is if you bet overs, bet them early. If you bet unders, bet them late. But ultimately, that's kind of changed recently. I mean, hasn't it? Because more or less overs are kind of killing it this year overall, right? With the juiced ball kind of seems like totals are just kind of crushing overall for the season. So I think that that mindset of bet overs early, bet unders late is kind of slowly going to the wayside, because I think a lot more people are now betting overs more, are spending more money on overs than unders overall, because overs are hitting, and you'll see all these inflated totals now. So the books are adjusting to it. But more or less, I think that totals in general, it's a game by game basis, to be honest. How much do you think a unit should be to do it for a living? Jefferson, I think if you're going to do it for a living, at minimum, you need to be betting $1,000 a game. Now, I say that because here's the thing. Realistically, I'm sitting here sweating like I'm in a hot box, like a sauna. Realistically, if you're let's cut that in half, right? Let's cut that in half. Let's say your unit size is 500, right? So if nowadays, and I'm not sure what specific state you're from, but the cost of living is obviously a lot higher now than it once was, right? So if the idea is that more or less, we'll say it's a number of 60,000 a year you'll need to sustain a living, whether you have a family, kids, wife, whatever's draining you. Let's say you need 60,000 a year. if you bet $500 a game, right? If you bet $500 a game and then you net 3 units a week, right? So what is that, right? That's 1,500, 1,500, or 1,500-ish, more or less. At 500 a week, if you're netting 3 units, you're going to be somewhere around, what is that? Maybe 70,000, 65,000 you'll net for the year. But again, like for me, like way too often, people take the full, they go a full 180. And here's what I mean. Like, you'll have somebody that right now is losing all their bets, right? Like maybe it's somebody in this chat, maybe not losing all their bets specifically, but let's say you're losing money, right? Overall betting, and you've been losing money for the last 6 months. What you'll kind of do is, look, I've been in that chair, so I know what this is like, where you're constantly losing. I mean, years ago, of course, I was losing. Happens to everybody. Look, and I still go on bad streaks now. Again, nobody's numb to it. Okay, but let's talk. So you're trying to figure out how you're going to make money betting sports, right? And you're constantly losing money, whether it's losing money over the course of a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. You've lost money. Too many people make it like a full 180. Like, okay, I know what my problem is. I just need to stop betting 2-team parlays, or I just need to stop betting overs, or I just need to stop betting on these few teams, or I just need to stop betting on, I need to stop following these handicappers. But like, long-term speaking, you should be looking for small victories, because look, the way I got to here and the way my dad got to where he is with sports betting, I didn't just make a full 180. I wasn't losing money betting sports 6 years ago. And I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to bet $1,000 a game. I'm going to bet $1,000 a game. And then, I'm going to tweak my process exactly how I need to. No, there's no, you could talk yourself into your blue in the face in terms of what you should do, shouldn't do, but take baby steps. Okay. Do things that you notice long-term work, but you need to be constantly adjusting the way you bet, because look, life changes. You have to evolve with it. Obviously, so does sports. You have to evolve with it. Like for me, I'm a big under guy, right? But you noticed with me early on, I was giving you guys a lot of unders on the channel, right? Like it was a lot of unders. I want to say like close to 70% of my plays early on were unders. But you notice over the course of this season, I still give you unders, but I don't do near as many. And why is that? You have obviously the juiced ball. You have to adjust. I can't just continue to bet unders knowing that there's more runs being scored if the books aren't adjusting to it. Now the books kind of are. So, unders are beginning to make a little more sense again. But again, you still have to stay somewhat disciplined in your lane, and long-term focus on baby steps to make yourself a better sports bettor. Explain, are you a big gamer to casino, blackjack, and where the industry would you follow favorite games? Ryan, I'm a big craps player. I don't play blackjack. Roulette's for pikers, and I don't even. I guess a lot of people play 3-card poker. 3-card poker is another game for peasants. You know what it is like? I know my dad. My dad is a very good blackjack player. I've played with him before. I've played blackjack. For me, it doesn't. I don't get the same rush playing blackjack as I do craps. There's no game you can. There's no game you can give out. No game. There's no game that can compete with the energy that craps does. So for me, I love craps. Explain that, JJ. Why can't I parlay 2 180 teams and get 2 great teams for -130? Jeff, could you be a little more clear on that question? I'm a little confused because explain that, JJ. Why can't I parlay 2 180 teams and I get 2 great teams for 130? I'm not sure, Jeff. I'm not sure what that means specifically. What's up, Steven? Pass line and craps or more exotic bets. Eric, I did it in the live video. One of the live videos I did earlier. I talked a little bit on the crap strategy I like. For me, I max bet I always go max odds in the pass line or behind the pass line. So whatever it is, if the table, for me, the typical bet is 25 on the line, max odds behind it, and then I will open with 100 on the inside numbers. Now I say inside, but I actually bet. What I actually do is I actually follow the point. So I'm not sure if you guys play craps or everybody in here plays craps, but let's say the point's 5, right? I'll load up on the pass line behind the 5. Now, the reason why I don't bet as much on the pass line is because I don't get rated for it. So I don't know how much you guys are with, or how much you guys get comps at casinos or whatever. But, I have my own host. My dad has his own host for any property, whether it's Atlantic City, Vegas, you go to the Bahamas, wherever you go, the total rewards properties. But you need to realize that, like, when you bet the pass line, you're not getting any credit on that bet towards your comps or whatever. You don't get any credit on that bet. So I don't load up there. I load up behind it, but I don't load up there. I like to load up on the inside. Again, for me, it's $100. I follow the point. If the point's 5, I will bet the 4. I will bet the 6 for $100 each, and I will bet the 5's match number, which is the 9. Okay, so you follow the point and you play its match number. Now the logic there is I've played craps for a while now. I was even throwing dice off the curb in Lodi when I was like 6 for my dad. That's not true. I'm just bullshitting. But the idea there is like constant. Whenever the point is like, I feel like whenever the point is like 4 or 5 or 6, like you have so many rolls where it's like, oh, there was one off. Oh, we were so close. The point's 5. Oh, there's a 6. We were one off. Oh, there's a 4. We were one off. It was so close. So for me, I always like to surround the point because, if we're close, I'm always going to get paid. And I play its match number because the odds make sense to do so. So that's why I do it that way. Can you play the come at all and max after? I don't like the come bet. For me, it's you need to hit it twice to win it. So I'm not a big fan of the come bet. I know that there's a lot of people that like it and there's a lot of people that bet it. But for me, it's a big investment to make, and you have to make it after one number hits. So for me, I don't really ever come bet. Now I will tell you this: I was maxed out on a table in Baltimore. I think that was 5.5 years ago, where the only bet I could make that wasn't other than what I had on the table was come bets. So that's where I was betting come bets. But other than that, I don't. Come bets are more or less sucker bets, but I know that there's a subjective argument there. But for me, the whole win twice to get paid once, it's not really my speed. Did I miss anything? Blackjack's a game of chances, not skills. Exactly. Do you feel the table out or have a pass, don't pass strategy? I don't ever play the don't pass Patrick. So for me, the people that play the don't pass, they're practically the Antichrist. I know that there's technically like 100th or 1,000th of a percent better odds for the people that play the don't pass. But for me, the game is all about energy. So I'm all about, riding the pass line. So I can, game's all about energy and riding highs. So for me, I don't ever play the don't pass. Is this a sports betting chat? Are you betting on fantasy football? Yeah. So obviously I play a lot of college fantasy football. I play a lot of daily fantasy NFL. So, I'll do videos for that on you guys. I know that that's kind of like becoming a dying breed though. Like I know that regardless, people still like the NFL daily fantasy sports content, but for me, sports betting is going to be a bigger drive for me and the channel over the next few months. But I will still cover you guys on some fantasy sports as well to keep you guys interested. Is he talking using 2 high lines? Fun is always in the craps table. Okay, so I will give you the play. Now I had a few people out there I think I saw wanted to guess the bet. Do you guys want to guess the game? Looking at the slate, I do have an idea of where you guys think I'm going to go, but I'll tell you what, it's not going to be there. So, but I'd like to hear where you think I'm going to go tomorrow. Oakland Fires plus 26. Gibson, gotta love the ace tomorrow. Marlins. Yeah, see, that's what I was figuring, John, because I know that you guys know I love Big Cock Caleb. Few bigger fans of him, but for me, in that spot against the Padres, I get a little worrisome there. The Padres have a ton of big righties, and the Padres are hitting. And for me, it's a tough spot. For me, I feel like it's almost like they took the line from last week, which was a fair line, and now he's getting a little bit too much respect. I was hoping, if I got to be honest, John, I was hoping the Padres were going to be about minus 130 in that spot, but they weren't. They opened minus 110. And Lamette's not bad. So for me, it's not a spot I really want to track, at least based on the price. Don't get me wrong, it could move that way. Give us in as a total. It's a side, Chris. It's a side. But it won't be Caleb. It won't be Caleb tomorrow. Goddamn, they hurt me 9 out of 10 times. Yeah, the Red Sox have been up and down this year for sure. There's nothing nothing crazy. A lot crazy actually going on with them. The A's are on fire. Do realize though, Kyle Gibson is pretty good at home. So just keep that in mind. You got it, John. You got it. Diamondbacks tomorrow. Diamondbacks is the play tomorrow behind Merrill Kelly. Now, I know that you guys know how much I can't stand Zach Davies. Um, and for me, I haven't played a game he's been involved in a while. And it's not that I've been avoiding him purposely. I just kind of let him regress, and he did. For me, you're getting the Diamondbacks. I believe when I bet it, it was minus 105. I'm trying to see, I'll see what it is now. So I'm seeing minus 102, minus 104. I bet it at minus 105. I think you might be able to wait. I mean, you got to realize that this becomes a tough game. This becomes a tough game tomorrow because the fact that the Diamondbacks scored all those runs, which to me means nothing. I don't really give a shit. I don't care if they scored 100 runs tonight. It means nothing going into tomorrow. But ultimately, Arizona's playing well. Merrill Kelly is a really good pitcher at home. You know, you guys know I backed a few Diamondbacks games earlier. I had a stretch where I backed I backed like 4 Diamondbacks games in a 10-game stretch. I didn't always bet the Diamondbacks, but I bet their games. You guys know I kind of like to stay in my lane with the teams. I don't like to venture out. So we know Zach Davies, what he is. We know Merrill Kelly's a good pitcher at home. I just feel like the Diamondbacks are not getting enough respect. And again, I had them pinched in this spot before they scored 20 runs tonight. To me, that means nothing that they scored all those runs. Now, what about the Giants? Now, I know the Giants, the Bumgarner's at home against Syndergaard. But see, you could make the argument, Chad, that the market's starting to adjust to the Giants because, I mean, when was the last time Syndergaard was a borderline underdog at a bad team? I mean, don't get me wrong, the Giants are hot, but like, at what point do the Giants go from being, and this I guess is all subjective, right? But at what point do the Giants go from being a hot team to a good team? I'm not sure necessarily that they've kind of transitioned into a good team. So for me, but it looks like the market has kind of shifted them in that direction, right? So the market's kind of shifted them in that idea of a good team. And now you have Syndergaard, who's a road underdog or practical road underdog, small, at the Giants. So for me, it's not a spot I can back. But here's the thing. With that in mind, though, Chad, I can't fade a hot team in the Giants, so I can't bet against them there. But I do think the market's kind of overshifting there, and it's not going to be a game I want to touch. Angels tomorrow after taking a couple L's. I know, Greg. A lot of people like Oakland tomorrow. I can't go against it. But again, they're playing really well, so. Yes, Jonathan, we're going to be fading. Well, you know what it is? It's not so much just a fade of him. It's also I like Merrill Kelly at home. You look at his splits. His advanced numbers show he's a much better pitcher at home, and not just his ERA at home. Like I know you might look at his ERA and see a 3 and be like, oh wow, he's he is good at home. If you look at his advanced surface numbers, advanced analytical numbers, he is a very good pitcher at home. And the advanced numbers prove he hasn't been getting lucky or anything. And Syndergaard's a tough pitcher to back. I'm not a big fan. No, Fangraphs is free, Jonathan. They ask for donations, but they're free. What was I gonna say? Question for you guys. Do you guys want a tennis play from my dad tomorrow as well, or do you just want the baseball? Do you want to kind of stay away from a tennis play, or do you want one? Let me see if I can. Yeah, Fangraphs is free. So let me see. Let me just look at a few of these lines because he gave a few. But let me see what some of these live lines are. Know what to fade. Exactly. Okay, so give me a second, guys. I just want to check. I want to check what this line is. Any sports you don't bet. I don't bet NBA, DJ Dog. I don't bet NBA. God bless the people that do. Sorry, guys. Just give me a second. I want to see what these lines are because these lines are definitely different now than what they were. Jesus Christ. Okay, so I'll tell you this. and you're going to get a bad price now, which is part that sucks. Pablo Cuevas versus Federico Del Bonis. Okay, open minus 120. He's probably now somewhere in the minus 140s, minus 135. Bet him. I bet him at 120. That's why I wanted to look at what the current lines are, because I knew that line would move. This is a play from the pops though, but we're both kind of in agreement here. The problem is the price is a little high now, but definitely on Cuevas. He's in ATP Bastad, so you can get, again, if that line moves to above 150, you got to stay away from it. There's no value there. But that's ultimately the play that's the play he was on. So Cuevas, it's an early match at 5 a.m. So the Roosters are a crowing when that one's on. Okay, so let me see. Minus 250, minus 150. Oh, Jonathan, just so you know, I know my dad. He doesn't bet 250 favorites. So with the game he gave out, the chick, he would have bet her 2-0 sets. He wouldn't have bet her at minus 250. So he would have bet at 250, and I guess that's just because you need to know him. If he's given a 250 play, he's betting at 2-0 sets at dog money. He doesn't bet. He doesn't lay anything over 140, 150. So yeah, there's nothing I can really do for you guys. It looks like a lot of these lines moved on us. But that's. Could you quickly repeat that pick? Just got here. It's Cuevas. He's obviously at a lot higher vig now. If you guys leverage a bunch of books, though, you'll get a good price or a better price. But his price is definitely not really all that favorable anymore. What's my favorite book? Like sports book or book to read? Jeff or Jefferson? What's your favorite book? I assume you mean sports book. Yeah. Well, I got to be honest. I'm a pretty avid reader. My Kindle's lit. Again, I don't always appear like I'm somebody that's all that deep into books, but no, I do read. I'm not talking I'm not talking like fiction shit. I mean, like I read a bunch of books relative to business and all that stuff. So, but as for sports book, for me, I use the place where I find the best lines, believe it or not, is DraftKings. I'm in Jersey, so the place I find the best lines is DraftKings. But I still leverage FanDuel, William Hill, PointsBet, and one or two others. I can't think of them off the top of my head, that I keep money on as well, just in case for me to always get better lines. Anything over 130 is a sucker's bet. You see, Don, that's the thing. Like that's not 100% true, because one of the reasons, what's the most you're paying for the D-backs tomorrow? Don't go over 120 on them, BSM. They should be favored tomorrow, but they're not. I got to imagine Milwaukee money is going to come through, so I don't think you have much to worry about there. You could probably wait on it and get a better number, but again, for me, I think people are gonna. I think there's going to be two sides of that equation. People are going to be like, oh well, Diamondbacks just scored 20 runs. They're probably going to come out flat and just blindly bet the Brewers. But for me, it's again, that game meant nothing to me, whether they scored 0 runs or 100. This was a good spot for them. Do you bet NFL props? Yes, plenty of NFL props. But you see, Mac, for me, I invest a lot of money in daily fantasy sports. So for me, it's like I kind of have to pick my spots, to not over bet crazy, right? Like, because if I'm playing daily fantasy and I'm betting NFL, right, I can't just also pile money into props as well, right? Because I'll end up having too much to root for. But props, there's definitely edge to be had betting props. Is there a good sports betting book, or have you been too busy to write it? I gotta be honest. I guess realistically, I could put together a book, but it would take me. You know what it is for me? I'm so anal about a lot of the things I do, and I love anal as well. In all seriousness, for me, there's so much. I'd almost be a perfectionist about how I did the book. Like the book would probably be unlike any sports betting article or book you've probably ever read before, just with the amount of detail and how vivid I'll try to make things for you guys. I would create scenarios, hypotheticals, but more or less, no time in the near future would I have a book put together. JJ doesn't need a book. Go watch old videos. Jersey represent. What's up, PJ? Okay, so I gave you the 2 plays. Let me think. What else? Oh, what do you guys think of this Area 51 nonsense? Is that like I know that these people are like almost borderline serious about storming Area 51. Like, what if there is some real shit there, huh? These people will get their throats slashed by a few ETs. But no, nonetheless, I don't really believe in that shit. Even though we had a practical rapture a few minutes ago here in Jersey, or before I did this video, just absolute downpouring rain. But no, I'm not. I don't really think anything of this Area 51 nonsense. When it comes to spreads in football, do you ever bet past 110? For me, I don't. I'll tell you this, Freddie. Don't ever buy points in any sport ever. They're overjuiced. So don't ever buy points specifically. But for me, I'm a spread bettor in NFL. I don't really money line it unless obviously I really feel like I have an edge there on a coin flip match. But for me, I'm a spread bettor. So I'll lay the 2.5. I'll take 3.5. For me, it's all about finding those edges. I'll rarely take 2.5. Like, that's what I tell a lot of people. Like, if you're betting NFL long term, and I'll go over this in the NFL video. Like, I have people that they'll show me like bets they made. It'll be like, I'll see their betting thing, and they took this team plus 2.5, or they took this team, plus 8.5. Like, do you guys realize how many small amount of games in the NFL land on those specific numbers? Like, if you're going to take them plus, like if you're going to lay 2.5, I mean, if you're going to lay 2.5, that's one thing, because obviously you can win by 3. But if you're going to take 2.5, I always tell people, just take the money line. Just bet the money line at that point. Why would you take? Well, the game has to fall 2, which is rare. I mean, don't get me wrong. You obviously could find a scenario where it happens, right? But it's rare. So for me, if I can give you some initial advice before I do the video, it would be, if you're going to bet, if you're going to take money, if you're going to take a dog at 2.5, just bet the money line instead of the 2.5. Shit, look at me, I'm yawning. Jesus, I'm like a fucking grandpa. Do you bet live sports games? I'm not sure what that means specifically. Do you mean like, do I live bet? Do you bet live sports game? The Open. U.S. Open is going to be great. Are you talking golf Open? If you're talking live bet, yes, I live bet. You can find yourself live betting in a rabbit's hole, chasing. So you got to be careful. And I'll go over this when I do the live betting / hedging video. I'll say about 80% of my live betting that I do is hedging. Okay. The other 20% will be like, if I look at a game, right, and I'm like, okay, well, this side's favorable, but like I didn't have a chance to bet it for whatever reason, whether I was jerking off, having sex at Wendy's, out of the state, and I couldn't bet it. The only thing, and then when I could bet it, the line moved, and this is before the game starts. If the game starts, like, I'll give you an example, and this will be something you guys could use for yourselves. Let's say you wanted to bet a road team, right? And the line moved too far, and you didn't want to bet them. Here's what you can do: just wait for that first half inning, right? Just wait for that first half inning. If they don't score a run in that first half inning, the top half, live bet them. You'll easily if they don't score any runs that first inning, the odds are going to easily swing 30, 40, sometimes even 45 cents after that first inning, and they don't score any runs. So if you're going to bet a road team, that's how I would do it. Now, if you're going to bet a home team, it's a little more complicated. You kind of either have to hope the team scores, or you just wait till they're losing, and then you obviously could live bet them then. But don't ever be crazy like chasing shit. I got to be honest, Dave, I don't really follow golf specifically. I'm not going to be able to give you the best info there. Wish I could, but I don't want to steer you guys in the wrong direction. For the guys that don't know, Big T on Twitter, Tony, one of the guys I follow, I repost some of his stuff as well. Huge into golf. He could definitely help you guys out with whatever you guys need there. What's the spread on people? What's the spread? People actually getting into Area 51. Ain't nobody getting into Area 51. They'll bomb that shit. They'll bomb those people before they get in. What's going on, Kenneth? Rom loves. Yeah, I don't bet golf, but I did hear that Rom's a big play. Big T goes to Tony. See, so Tony's here. What's up, Tone? You already put the kids to bed? For those that don't know, Tony is over at RotoGrinders, runs a great Print Factory podcast, gives away a bunch of winners, legitimate State Kings player, DFS player as well. Definitely could help you guys out with any type of golf you guys need. Kids are watching a movie while I find golf. Yeah. That's like I said, Tony's your guy. You guys need golf stuff, Tony's your guy. If alien text exists. Plus 4 bets, that's it. Okay, so do you ever bet both sides at plus money? So you're either win or push. The only time I do that, Jonathan, is late in a match. So I'll never do that early, because what you'll do is you'll kind of knife yourself to death hedging. But if a match is late and it's kind of been a back and forth all match, whether it's baseball, whether it's college football, whether it's tennis, and it's late, and I get a break and I get an advantage where like the line swings in my favor on the other side, like plus 200, I will hedge at that point, because again, for me, it's been too much of an emotional match. It could easily be given right back. I don't really mess around with that. It's not worth it. Boxing, JJ? No one watches boxing anymore, Greg. The sport's dead. Sports sucks, actually. I don't know. Do you guys? I can't. Are people legitimately watching boxing? I get it. Manny Pacquiao used to be good, and obviously him and Mayweather, and obviously Triple G. But like, nobody watches boxing, right? I mean, that's not a thing. At least I don't think they do. Yeah, I mean, Greg. I know I'm sitting here trolling boxing. UFC is just a better sport. It's more entertaining. If you're going to bet anything, I think you should be betting UFC, not necessarily boxing. But again, who am I to tell you? If you enjoy boxing, I mean, look, keep betting it and enjoy it. Okay, so we're going to close out here. Any final questions from you guys? My ass needs to go to bed. You see my eyes? Shit's like bloodshot. Looks like I smoked a fat one. Because I need sleep. What's your take on low bagger Jimmy? I think it's crazy. So many bets every day, but there is logic behind his method. I got to be honest. I don't even really know who you're talking about, Leonard. Is he an SBR guy? I know SBR's got a bunch of guys. I guess he's an SBR guy. I gotta be honest, I don't know who that is, so I can't really speak on it. But again, I don't know. I can say this: if he's betting a lot of plays per day, it's hard to justify over the calendar year paying that much juice. But look, if it works for him, if that's what he does and it works for him, who am I to say any different? But I think, like I said, long term, you need to be you need to be kind of keeping yourself disciplined. Betting all that many is going to kind of get you into trouble. At least that's my perspective. But again, that's certainly subjective. Any other tennis that the Pops is on? No, just that one specific, John. That's the only one. Now, granted, with the spread the way it is, you could probably just lay the games prop there with him, John, if you want to lay less juice. So you could probably do that if you'd like as well. Keep yourself at less vig. Vegas Dave 50-0 or next year free. You see that? Tony comes in here and he drops the winners. Vegas Dave, folks. Vegas Dave 50-0, 47-0 in his last 47. Don't follow Jimmy on the bag show. I bet it is more appeal to the crowd kind of guy, like the guy who sucks at karaoke, but everyone loves him for only $7.90. Yeah, I think to me it's crazy how people are still buying into Vegas Dave. It's kind of wild that despite what the act, I got to be honest, I find it wild that Vegas Dave even agreed to do the show on Showtime, because the show just made him look like shit. I mean, it's just a bad PR move. I think that it's tough to imagine why he did it. But what did you guys think of that? Did you guys enjoy that, the Showtime action show on Showtime? It was good. I felt it was good. I didn't honestly, if I'm giving it my full honest diagnosis, or prognosis, I don't think they were transparent enough. I liked what they did. I liked what they did with the amateur bettor. I don't remember the guy's name, but the guy that was like kind of betting $50 a game and losing sleep over losses. I kind of like what they did with him. I wish they did more of that, because he because he's 90% of the industry. He's 90% of the industry. Not the fact that he bets $50. I mean, just that individual, the guy that's sitting there, and when he has a bad day, he can't sleep at night, and when he has a good day, he's rock hard. That's 90% of the industry. 10%, maybe even less than that, are more calculated, right? Their emotions, they're numb to the losses, because you have to be. You have to be. You can't lose a game and then, cry the blues to whoever you followed, or, tell whoever you followed to go fuck themselves because they're trash or they suck. But again, that's what 90% of this industry is, and it's only going to grow. It's only going to grow from there. In terms of you're going to have more of these people that are crybabies when they lose, and they think they have everything figured out. But it's the big takeaway from this video for you guys, especially with early on when I talked about it. When you go through a little bit of a cooler or a bender where you're losing games, take your step back, cut your action in half, very light on your action specifically, and kind of slowly put that train back on the tracks. But don't sit there and pity yourself or cry yourself to sleep over losses. It's the past. Just the same thing with your wins. When you win, that's cool, but it's over. As of today, you're 0-0. Okay, what you won yesterday doesn't matter. What you lost yesterday doesn't matter. That's one of the main reasons why I don't like to post my record on Twitter or my record, anywhere. I post it on YouTube, again, just because specifically that's what people care about. And I'm trying to grow a channel, so I know that's what people want. But like with no touting career specifically, why would? Because here's the thing. I'll paint you a quick scenario, and I know I should be getting going here, but I'll do a few more minutes. I'll paint you a quick scenario. If my record on Twitter for the year, we'll just say in hypothetical, my record for the year on Twitter is 175, right? I've definitely given out more picks now, but let's say hypothetically it's 175. So whatever that is, I guess that's 25 games over. It's probably out of that you're probably netting like what? 175. Let me make sure the calculator. Maybe I could have used easier numbers. I'm not a fucking mathematician. 100 divided by 175. Okay, so that's 57%, right? So 100 wins, 75 losses, 57%, right? So somebody might come in, a new follower might be like, oh wow, this guy's 175. Wow, he actually wins. This is cool, and all the things and everything's documented, right? And then I go on a 5-game losing streak, right? And now I'm 180, right? Now this same guy's like, well, what the hell? I was following you. You were winning. You were 57% before I came here. Now you're losing. I mean, what is this, all smoke and mirrors? And the same thing if I win, right? What if I go 5-0? This guy who's following me, so now I'm 105 and 75. This guy who's following me is like, oh wow, this guy's incredible. I mean, Jesus, he's almost up to 60%. No one's 60%. This is crazy. What he's doing is incredible. For me, there's no winning. There's no winning. And here's the thing: I'm not a tout. I'm not selling picks to anybody. So there's no reason for me to follow it and track it. What I'm tracking? I'm tracking my own ROI. That's what I'm tracking. How I'm doing myself for the year. How I'm doing myself for the month, for the week. What I need to do. And here's the other thing. I'm a big hedger, right? So what if out of the 175 bets I did, what if out of the 75 losses, what if 20 of those losses started out as wins and I hedged backwards? So I actually didn't lose. But I couldn't document that, right? I couldn't document that. I wouldn't be able to explain that to people. Okay, yeah, well, I'm 175. I'm 175 plus 60 units. But why am I plus 60 units? I'm plus 60 units because I hedged backwards on 20 of my 75 losses. So I actually didn't lose those games. I mean, yeah, sure, the record says I lost those games, but as far as my own ROI goes, I didn't lose those games. So I think that, like I said, I think people get lost in translation with the records. So for me, it's not something I want to deal with. I don't want to deal with answering questions from people about what my record was for the past week, the month, year. I mean, not year, but month, weeks. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty with it. So that's ultimately why I don't do it. But again, for you guys, everybody goes through coolers. Take a step back. Stay disciplined, and don't be chasing losses with nonsense. Don't be parlaying because you lost a few games. Stay in your lane, and don't burn money when you don't have to. Right? That's ultimately the true goal. Post really means nothing. Love the bag showed it down. Only way to defeat the juice is to get ROI is most important. Hell with percentage. Exactly. See, count it those. Give some thumbs up, people. John, tons of money coming in against your boy Caleb. Greg, it's like I said. I think that you're going to get first of all, first of all, Greg, the Brewers just take a lot of money. Okay, people aren't going to bet the Marlins. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if Cy Young was pitching for the Marlins. People aren't going to bet the Marlins. You'll be able to get a better price with Caleb if you wanted to bet it. If you wait, but again, Caleb Smith was not the pick I gave out. So for me, that's an off spot. I don't like the price. It's not good enough. It's not juicy enough. For me, the play was Merrill Kelly behind the Diamondbacks. Yeah, because it's great to hear somebody else's views on a game, because the way JJ looks at games and the way I look at different Bag Shows fan we did. Yeah, so obviously, like I said, I know SBR is doing a lot of great things. I don't spend my time watching a lot of other people's videos. I kind of have my own thing that I do. But needless to say, I have a lot of respect for a lot of people that are in this industry, and a lot of people that do it daily and go on the grind. So definitely a lot of respect for a lot of people that are in this industry today. Gotta check it out. The bag starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, I'll probably check it out. Check out a show or two. But again, for me, I'm not. You understand, guys? I'm different than most. I'm not somebody who's. I'm not a handicapper who's following other handicappers. I'm not. I do my own thing. Me and my dad, we kind of do our own thing together. There's no. I'm not saying that there's not people out there that are smarter. That are smarter than that aren't smarter than me and him in sports betting. I'm sure there's a ton of people that know a lot more about sports betting than me and him. But for me, I still have to keep myself disciplined. I have my own bets that I make. I'm not looking to add to my bets per day that I make. If anything, I'm looking to subtract and be even more disciplined. I think somebody asked me about a pizza place in Jersey. Did I have that right? Did I miss that? What's the best pizza place in North Jersey? Pizza Town. Pizza Town. It's in Saddlebrook. It's on Route 46. Old school pizza place. Only accepts cash. So that's a real legit pizza spot. Other than that, any closing notes from you guys? I'm trying to see if I have anything else that I wanted to cover before I end this. I'll probably try to do one next week on a weekend, whether it's a Saturday night or a Friday night or a Sunday night or early in the Saturday afternoon, so that I get a different crowd involved. I know what I do is on the weeknights, there's a bunch of people that can't get in. So what I'll do is I'll try to do it on a weekend for you as the next one. But other than that, again, I want to thank you guys for the video. Hope you guys found at least some of the things informative. Obviously, I hope the picks win. Hope you guys found it funny with the bag. I gotta give the bag to my dad to wear in the next video. Maybe I'll mail it to him. Okay. Other than that, again, thanks again, guys, for everything. I will catch you guys tomorrow with a free play on SharpSide YouTube channel. Thanks again.